Welcome, Jimmie The G-Him back with you. This time we'll transition to start looking at the NBA, and particularly the NBA offseason, and look at what some of these teams in the association will do or should do, or more importantly, what I would do if I was making the personnel decisions. First up, we're going to start with a team that's not in the playoffs right now. They've been eliminated, and they do not have a lottery pick, so we know their draft selection slots. That is the Washington Wizards. What would I do as the decision maker, general manager, president of the Washington Wizards? Well, the first thing I will do will be to replace Scott Brooks as the head coach. Scott Brooks, famous for being the Oklahoma City head coach when they had James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook. Unfortunately, couldn't get that team quite over the hump. They made it to the finals against Miami one year, and that was the apex of their run. Now he's in Washington. I would say the Wizards sort of underachieved this past season, finishing where they did in the East as the 8th seed. I know John Wall missed quite some time with some injury. I think for his chemistry reasons and just for his strategy reasons, Scott Brooks' teams seem to have not much of a clue of how to execute late in games. That was blamed on Russell Westbrook when he was in Oklahoma City. Now I see John Wall is getting some of that blame, but I think it's coaching that can ease some of that for the point guard. So I will replace Scott Brooks with Mike Budenholzer, the recently dismissed coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Budenholzer did a great job with Dennis Schroeder, bringing him along. He's come from that San Antonio Spurs system. When you think of point guards like Tony Parker, being able to drive, handle, score, being able to take a brunt of the scoring load upon their shoulders and still have success as a team. I think that's a great fit for John Wall. So I'm bringing in Budenholzer. And the second thing I'm doing is I'm trading Marcin Gortat. Now, Marcin Gortat had a sort of a down year compared to his previous years this season. He's sort of been unhappy with his role on the team, especially when the team goes to small ball. He sort of had a social media beef with John Wall. Those are 3 strikes right there. I can no longer have him around. A trade that I think can get done for Gortat is to the 76ers. Gortat will be coming in the last year of his deal in 2018-2019. In Philly, I think they can use some insurance at center just in case Embiid is out at any given stretch. I would ask for Jared Bayless and Richaun Holmes from the 76ers. Bayless never really quite impacted Philadelphia like some thought he would when he was signed last offseason. He played some in the beginning of the season, but his playing time has virtually went away. I like him playing with either Bradley Beal or John Wall. He's able to stretch the floor and not worry about primary ball handling responsibilities with either of those guys. And if you want to put him on the ball, you can do that as well. So I think Bayless can be a good pickup for the Wizards. Also, Richaun Holmes gives the Wizards an athletic big man. I'm not the biggest young Nahimi fan, as he backs up Gortat or plays in that role as alongside Gortat as the Wizards front court. I'm not the biggest fan of his. He's athletic, and I get that, but I'll look for more production from the 4 and 5 spots on the floor. Alright, so that's one trade. And I also have a pie in the sky trade. Now, when you look at a team, you got to look at what can it take for that team to get to the top to win an NBA championship. And I look at my star players. Are my star players good enough to help us win a championship? Bradley Beal, John Wall. I think with the right coaching, I think you can get to that level. Are they at LeBron's level? No. Will a lot what happens in the East depend on where LeBron ends up next season? Yes. So we really can't control that. But I think Beal and Wall aside, you can try to deal Otto Porter. I know Porter, the highest paid player on the team, just signed a big extension last season. He had interest in the free agent market last season, and one of those teams were the Sacramento Kings. So I'm calling up Sacramento, and I said, hey, give me Zach Randolph, De'Aaron Fox, Willie Cauley-Stein. I'll give you Otto Porter and the number 15 pick in the draft. Will they do it or won't they? I don't know, but I would give it a shot. I think Fox, he's another player that can fit in with Beal or Wall in the backcourt. Just his ability to drive the ball to the basket, ability to kick. I like Beal as a shooter. I think Wall is a better shooter than some people might think. So I like Fox playing that off-ball role some of the time and just being a creator some of the time to help Beal and Wall get shots. So I think that can work. Zach Randolph, I think he's better than what you have in the front court now. The same with Willie Cauley-Stein. He's an athletic guy as well, but he's tall, got length. I think that improves your front court. Assuming that deal doesn't go down, and we have to remember Otto Porter has a trade kicker in his contract that increases his salary by 15%. Roughly, if he gets traded, he'd be making roughly $30 million for the 2018-2019 season. So let's say, assume that trade doesn't work. I got another pie in the sky trade, and that's trying to deal for Kawhi Leonard. And basically that would be Otto Porter for Kawhi Leonard and Derek White from the Spurs. Everyone knows about Leonard's situation. Hoping to play in a big market is the rumor. I don't know if Washington's big enough, but I know the Spurs would love to have someone like Porter to take his place to really fit in that system. Otto Porter seems to be a Spurs type of player. And had he come along at a different time, specifically when Leonard was coming along, Otto Porter might be the star Leonard is now. Was he a Spur when Leonard was drafted with the Spurs? He's just that type of player that can shoot, unselfish, doesn't need a whole lot of offense ran for him. So I think they would like to get a player like that if they can't get Leonard. But who knows if Leonard wants to go to Washington. I think he's eyeing some markets even bigger than that. And also Derek White is a nice player. I consider a poor man's James Harden at this point. He's a combo guard, can play point, can play shooting guard. Very, just has a knack for scoring and making the right plays. He's more athletic than Harden. At least he tested more athletic than Harden. But just a solid player who will get better with the higher level of competition he continues to play. So let's assume no trade works out and I basically have my core coming back. What would I do at the number 15 draft spot if I'm Washington? I got 3 players in mind. First up being Jontay Porter out of Missouri, Michael Porter's younger brother. He had a really good freshman year at Missouri last season, considering that he skipped his final season of high school ball. He may have only shot 43% from the field, but that because he attempted 110 three-pointers and shot a respectable 36% from behind the arc. Also, he did shoot 50% on his 2-point attempts. Averaged 9.9 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and that was only 24 minutes. He's the type of player that I think if he in next year's draft, he's a lottery pick, undoubtedly. So you drafted him early and you're betting on the upside. I know you have the Morris twin in Washington. I think Jontay Porter has more of a upside than what you have now in the Morris twin in Washington. So, but that might not impact your team immediately because I mentioned Porter skipping his senior year of high school. He is only 18 and won't be 19 until November. So in that case, I'm also looking at Brandon McCoy, a 7-footer out of UNLV. He put up numbers you would expect someone of his talent to put up in the Mountain West Conference. Shot 54% from the field, averaged a double-double, just under 17 points, just over 10 rebounds. The big thing I like about him, he shot 72% from the free throw line. Like a lot of big guys that come out, he's gonna have to put on some weight. But I think that's less of a factor in today's NBA when guys run up and down the court and you have small lineups. I think he can get some easy buckets with a 6 guy like Wall. And just his athleticism is something more than you can get from a young Mahimi or seeing Gortet, or is just an upgrade of the front court. And unlike Porter, I think he can help more in year one, just based on the amount of time he played last season, albeit it was in mid-major conference. And the last guy I'm sort of considering with that 15th pick, this guy would have to really wow me in workouts and interviews. That's Mitchell Robinson. Just like Brandon McCoy, he's another 7-foot athlete. But unlike McCoy, he didn't play college basketball last season. Just rumored to have some off-the-court issues with just some of the people that surrounds him. You never know how much of those things are true. You never know if a person is a problem or have character concerns until you sit down and talk with them to iron that things out. But I will consider him, but I have to do more research. I do know he performed well in the 2017 McDonald's High School All-American game and the 2017 Jordan Classic. All right, Washington also has the number 44 pick of the draft, and I'm still addressing needs in the front court. With that pick, I look to target bates-diop. I see him as a combo forward. He's out of Ohio State. He can shoot the three, put up good rebound numbers. You play him at 4 if you want a small lineup. I think he can hold his own. I think he's a guy that can get up and run the floor with Beal and Wall. Also, I will also target Moritz Wagner from Michigan, national runner-up. He's another big player, 6'10", 6'11", a big stretch 4. Maybe he can play some in finesse 5 and some small lineups. But he's a guy that can hit the outside shot, put the ball on the floor. Just a very versatile player. And I also see opportunities for him playing with someone like John Wall. Now, I know a lot of Michigan and John Beilein players, they sort of peak in college, and that's been the trend recently because he's very systematic with the way he does things there. But I think Wagner got the skill set, much like a DJ Wilson did last season, but he's more developed as far as a player, just playing the game than DJ Wilson was. So I think it's an opportunity he can help in year one. Out of my free agents on the squad, Ty Lawson is one that I'm very intrigued to keep for 2018-19. Played in China for the majority of last season, joined the Wizards down the stretch in the playoffs, and really showed well for a guy to be out of the league for a year or so. And just the off-the-court issues with him, alcoholism. You just hope he has that squared away. Washington, being around him, should know best. And, this is his home area, this D.C., Maryland area. So I would love to have him back. I think he has starter level talent in the NBA. You just hope he can get back to that form for a full season. Also, some potential free agents I may sign. One guy I'm really looking at is Greg Monroe, who's with Boston now in the playoffs. It sort of concerns me his playing time has decreased, but I always looked at him as a skilled guy. If you trade Gortat, I think Monroe can step in and be a solid center for you. Also, a guy I would like to have, JaVale McGee. I know his history with Washington, so maybe just from an overall climate of the fan base and climate of the franchise standpoint, he's not the player to bring in, but I like his talent, and I would at least consider it. Alright, those some of the things I would do. Jimmie The G-Him as the head decision maker of the Washington Wizards. With this off-season look at the Washington Wizards, I will do more teams as the off-season gets here and unwinds, and also as we know the exact spot of the teams that are picking in the draft lottery. Once again, it's Jimmie The G-Him. As always, if you like the video, push like and subscribe.